And then also piggybacking a little bit on the thing we talked about last time, does it enhance our creativity or does it reduce our creativity? And I think actually just us talking about this now enhances the fact that it does boost our creativity when we can play with all these things, and it kind of lowers the barrier for entry, and it kind of lowers the threshold for everything. It makes it not so scary anymore. And yeah, I'm like you, because I'm buzzing. So yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Power Platform Boost podcast, your timely source of Power Platform news and updates with your hosts, Nick Dolman and Ulrikke Ackerbeck. And we're live. Hello, Nick.
Hey, live or recording?
Recording. We don't do live. We can't do live. We don't know how to do live. We may crack the code at some point, but it looked like you were searching for the button, so I just pushed it for us.
I was actually searching for something else, but it's all good. We're good.
Aren't we all?
Happy New Year, I guess.
Well, yeah, Happy New Year. I think we hit people's temples at New Year's actually last episode. But yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to a friend of mine in the gym the other morning about, because I hadn't seen her since like before mid-December. I said, Happy New Year. And she goes, Happy New Year. And she goes, at what point do we stop saying Happy New Year? So we decided, me and her, my friend Roshni, who probably doesn't listen to the episode, even though I did point her towards it. And then we decided collectively, we said, okay, January 10th, that's the cutoff day.
Wow, that's really soon. And then I also saw, yeah, I think so. And I mean, because, if I haven't talked to anyone, I'll just go January, at the end of January, I'm kind of over it. But if I haven't seen somebody, but yeah, I guess it's getting to that point. And I also saw in the chat, one of the WhatsApp groups that I'm in, someone said Happy New Year. And it was like, I don't know, 8 a.m. the next day for me. And then they got shit for the people are like, what are you going? Where were you at? New Year's is yesterday. And then someone went, no, you kind of go Happy New Year for a long time after New Year's. And they're like, there's this big rant back and forth. And I was like, well, if this is what we have a disagreement on, then the rest of the world should be all good. I mean,
sure, the rest of the world is good in a sense.
Or not at all in another sense. But that's for another podcast. Let's leave it at that.
Not this one.
Jesus,
yeah.
Not this one. This is politics free for the most part.
Yeah.
Well, politics in the Power Platform, there's a lot of that going on. I think we have a bit of a, if we're going to look at the polarization and the left wing versus the right wing, or the legacy wing versus the future wing, we are kind of in the middle at the moment in the Power Platform, where we have all these new shiny toys that we can play with that aren't really GA overall yet. And then you have the old way of working, which we're kind of sick of, and we know it's going to be kind of not what we want to do going forward, but we can't really use the new stuff yet because it's not GA. And yeah, so that's my awkward segue.
Cool, but I think a lot of this new stuff we can incorporate into the old, which I think when we look at our very first article on our list from Ben Blanken from the Netherlands. Of course, we both know Ben, super great guy. Definitely, I know Ben listens, so hey Ben, thanks for listening.
Hey Ben.
Yeah, and he wrote a really cool blog post. I think we both saw it. Yeah, do you want to kick off and talk a little bit about what Ben was talking about?
Yeah, so Ben was going through, he dove into Generative Pages and then looking at adding them to a model-driven app and kind of pinning them against custom pages. So I think it's a very good blog post. He uses a soccer team player, NFL players dynasty rankings as his use case, which is a good idea if you want to dive in and play with something new. Always have a good use case in mind. And he built a generative page around it to kind of see what it could do, what the limitations were, where he hit some snags. And then he showed us the learnings in his blog post, which I really like. And Ben is always really good at, I'm such a nerd. I love it when people write blog posts and they kind of have a little quote here, a little image here, a little frame here, and Ben is very good at that. So reading his blog post doesn't feel like reading this blob of text. It's broken up into very editable pieces and it's easy to go through. And maybe it's just because our minds works the same, but I always find that Ben's articles or blog posts kind of flow very naturally. So what did you think?
No, it was really good. And it reiterates what I've always said to people too. Like, well, how do I learn this stuff? And for me, I'm a fingers on keyboard type learner. I think hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about that more later in the episode where we talk about hackathons. But what I liked about Ben had a personal project, an NFL fantasy player pool. I know people that are really big into fantasy leagues. Especially the National Football League and football, like it's huge in North America. So it was actually a bit surprising to see a European kind of focus on this a little bit, especially for American football. But again, it's just taking that personal project and looking at your day to day. It's like, okay, what can I do? What can I build to make my life easier? And whether it's building apps or agents or even websites, maybe if you're trying to learn something, I always find a case of find a problem and then solve it, and then makes it so much easier to learn because you're doing the research, you're working with the different AI agents to get to a point where you can actually begin to build all of this cool stuff. So good one, Ben. I really enjoyed that blog post, for those reasons as well.
Yeah. And you list his learnings and then you kind of have a bit of a conclusion at the end. Will I keep building custom pages? Probably not. And the future is generative. So that's the short of it from Ben. And a very good blog post to read through for sure. And also, we have another blog post about generative pages.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a bit of a theme for the next few months of now that Generative Pages, it is GA in the US environments, and hopefully it's rolling out to other places soon, because there's a ton of use cases that just keep cropping up. Now, this one was from Rasika Chaudhary, and she's on the PowerCat team. Of course, people are from the Canvas app side, or probably not that people are on sides. I think I use all the technologies, but but people working in Canvas apps going, oh, Generative Pages looks really cool. I wonder if we could utilize that. And she explains a way about being able to build a generative page, but actually embed it in a Canvas app, which I thought was genius, because this way you're now beginning to going a little bit outside of the lines of the coloring, which is great in terms of beginning to build. And there might be some definite solutions where a generative page just makes perfect sense. And then partially, I think we're going to see eventually people kind of migrate away from Canvas apps into this more, like we said, this new world of building power apps in general. But this is a way that it can start introducing things, still use the existing Canvas app infrastructure, but enhance it using some of those new tools. So Rasika, great post. It was really good. It was very well laid out as well, step by step, with code snippets. You know how I love seeing code snippets in blog or post articles like this. So if you're building Canvas apps and you want to be able to utilize some generative pages, definitely check out her post, and hopefully you can build some amazing things and enhance your existing Canvas apps.
Yeah, and I think also it bridges the gap in a very interesting way, because from the announcements and kind of how this has been laid out and communicated to us, code apps are supposed to kind of replace Canvas apps, and then generative pages, they live inside a model-driven app. So when she mixes to do things, of course, if you want to replace Canvas apps with code apps, you have to know your code. You have to know how to start in Visual Studio. You don't have to have the capabilities of creating a code project. Yes, you can vibe code it, but you still have to kind of, it feels more devy, right? So some people will feel a little bit alienated by that. So when she has this very detailed kind of, this is the steps, this is what you do, this is where you put in this and that and makes it work, it kind of bridges the gap between Canvas apps and model-driven apps and the new way of working in a very nifty way. And I love seeing kind of workarounds like this, and especially when it's from PowerCat. It's like, yes. And I saw Nikita Polyakov's little love this comment at the bottom is like extra endorsement. Yes, teams stick together, and let's find these workarounds.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool.
Definitely. And I saw another thing that's kind of, I don't know, surprising, maybe not the right word, but I saw a post that is called Dataverse ERD Visualizer. See your data model, understand your data. And then I thought, surely we have this already. And then someone went along and created, so this is Allan deCastro. He made his own, of course, vibe coded React thingy that you can connect to Dataverse, and then you can see your whole data model in an ERD diagram. And I thought, dude, we got this already. But what he points out is that he knows about, so I started to read through kind of skeptical thinking, if this guy doesn't know about Plan Designer and the new ERD diagram thing you can do there, then this is a bit waste of time. But then he says, no, actually, when you work in a very, so imagine you have an old CRM Dynamics 365 implementation and you have this huge complex data model. It's kind of naive to think that you can just push all that into one solution, then create plan from solution. It's not going to be as dense. It's not going to be as feature dense as what he created. So this is one of those, I want to document the existing thing and also maybe adopting a solution from someone else with lack in documentation. And you want that dynamic ERD diagram, kind of how is things related to one another. And then, so that's why he made a tool that kind of enhances and kind of brings that same Plan Designer kind of look and feel, but then makes it even more dense and more feature dense. So he has a very good blog post where he talks about kind of why he created it, the process he'd gone through thinking about this, and also how to start using this new tool that he created. And a video. This is a lot of AI, the whole blog post thingy, because you recognize this, right? So it's AI buff. It's gonna. I find that's why you read something that AI created, and it's always a bit. It has a added, which this very much do have. So it's very long and very extensive, but also very good. So actually, kudos to you, Allan, for bringing this out there and enhancing on something that we don't have already.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. I saw it as well. I meant to download it and actually install it because in one of my projects, I do need to get, I've drawn out the data model already, I think using Miro or something like that. But it was a case of, because it was the same thing, I kind of thought, I can just load my solution in Plan Designer and go from there. But it doesn't do the greatest job in the world, where I'm always open for tools. We talked about Louise's Freeze's
Mermaid to Dataverse
tool as well, which works just one way at this point. I know she was working on getting it to work the opposite way as well. But to me, and you've heard me this in projects and me almost ranting about it, is like, get your data model sorted first. If you can get your data model sorted, and this again, I keep probably repeating it, people are probably sick of it, is where we need the solution architects and people like this, because AI can help you define your data model, but it can help you. It can't, if you let the AI create your data model for you, you're into trouble. Like even with Plan Designer, and I'm a big fan, I'm still, the biggest job I find in Plan Designer is fixing the data model, bringing in existing system tables, relinking things together. So a tool like this, especially if you're kind of going into projects, like the two projects I'm working on now, they're existing systems. They've been built by other consultants before me. We all think different. And even that's a whole other thread I might just kind of pull in this episode as well, about thinking different, how the AIs think different, but being able to pull this and get that information in front of you. And I'm very visual. I think you are as well, seeing those boxes, the way it's laid out. And again, this is another example of using the new tools, the vibe engineering or the AI assisted coding or vibe coding, however you want to call it, of being able to build tools. So we're also going to see a whole new generation, I think, of tools, even in existing things. And we'll probably segue next to XrmToolBox. But now with these tools, a lot of people that have great ideas are getting over that little cusp, that little barrier that's always been there. I've met Allan. I know Allan fairly well, but I'm not sure where he sits on the developer spectrum. So this is still very cool to see.
Yeah. And he also mentions the XrmToolBox extension that you can use. But yeah, of course, that's existed for a little while already. This is brand new and it's very AI driven, and MCP server and all that new shiny tool set. So yeah, definitely something also very easy to build on. So yeah, I'm all for it. So that was a segue over to your next thing, which also has to do with the XrmToolBox.
Yeah. So this is our friend, Matt Collins-Jones. And Matt, actually, he calls out the very first line. It says, I am not a developer. He says, I don't claim to be a developer. I've designed things. I've learned how to code certain things and got better over the years, but I am not someone who lives in the integrated developer environment day in and day out. And of course, the rise of vibe coding.
You can spell IDE. I mean, that's cooler than I am. I'm right there with you, Matt, up until the IDE part. And I'm like, what now?
Yes. What is IT? So anyways, but he goes, which kind of blew me, because I have a bunch of XrmToolBox ideas in my head. And I've seen presentations by our friend Jonas Rapp and a few others. And I'm like, okay, I need to sit down someday and start building out this, some of these XrmToolBox ideas I have, right?
Is that above or below? It's above or below learning to play the guitar?
It's probably above somewhere.
Okay. Above or below learning to web develop? See it?
Oh, no, so that actually is a little bit higher, but we'll talk about that as well.
Okay. So in the middle. Okay, nice.
Somewhere in the, I mean, you know how it is, right? Like, I'm sure you have XrmToolBox ideas that pop up in your head too, right? We've talked about this. Wouldn't it be great? Yeah.
Anyways. No, I mean, that's the Tangy and all the other guys. I mean, come on. It's just too Debbie for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Move on.
So anyways, Matt goes through the whole process and creates a plugin. And again, it's talking about his journey, about things that didn't work, things that did work, about using the latest template for Visual Studio 2020 and realizing, okay, that actually is not quite compatible yet because the XrmToolBox is built on the Windows presentation foundation, which is a little bit of an older legacy way of doing things. That's why the user interface looks a little ish, to be fair. But anyways, he went through and then kind of got to a point where he actually had and has this thing called the Flow Solution Finder now sitting in the XrmToolBox. So this is awesome, Matt. This is something I know that people would love to get. So it's a great blog post about a journey of going from I know nothing, but this is, like I said, building a project that you want. Here's my pain point. How do I solve it? And these tools get folks like, Matt, and just over that cusp and over the edge into building some amazing things. And this is what's really exciting me about all this new stuff coming out. So yeah, great to check out Matt's blog post and check out his solution as well. And then, I'm very curious to see I think the XrmToolBox still has a lot of life left into it. And now that we have tools and people like Matt that are sharing what they're learning, I think it's going to open the door to a lot more very valuable tools in building Power Platform solutions with the XrmToolBox. And so good job.
And I love that he put the prompt in there. It's like, build me an XrmToolBox tool that allows me to see a list of all the cloud flows in my environment. Add a column to show me what solution that the flow is included in. And if it's as easy as that, it actually runs off and it does the majority of the thing. It understands. I think you can put it above learning to play the guitar really easily because it doesn't seem like it's such a massive amount of work. That's my first point. And then my second point is something that I talked to a customer and a colleague about earlier last week. What day is it? What's my name? Where do I live? And that was because he was telling me he was diving into the PowerFX. And he was using a kind of Microsoft 365 Copilot or ChatGPT or something. And he said it didn't really do a very good job. So he's like, well, read the documentation, give me some examples, do. And I just couldn't really grasp it. It made a lot of mistakes. It made a lot of assumptions because, of course, with PowerFX, you have 3 different areas that you can apply PowerFX to, and all 3 is kind of different. So the syntax you use for a Canvas app won't necessarily work for Power Pages, which is a subtle little thing that AI doesn't really catch. And also we found it didn't really find a lot of resources. And so he asked me about it. I said, do you know, what am I missing? Is there a big repository somewhere that I'm not finding? What is the thing? And I said, actually, I think this is part of in Norway, we say, bjørnetjeneste, beer favor, kind of we are shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit because we've stopped creating blog posts. We've stopped writing about the things that we discovered because we think if I'm able to vibe code this in 5 minutes, who needs another blog post? Today, I was researching something for a presentation I'm doing this year, and I worked with ChatGPT on it. And now that you can see the reasoning that it's doing before it's giving you the answer, the third resource it pulled out was my blog. And that just blew my mind. And then I thought, Jesus, I haven't made a blog post in like eons because I'm thinking, like he did, we don't need to blog anymore because AI will learn about everything. But then back to something we talked about earlier this year, who's going to make the crazy things that AI is going to? We need to continue to build this repository that is the internet to keep enriching the AI service. It'll only be as good as the thing we feed it with. And if we stop feeding it, I think I underestimated how important it is that we keep feeding it. So when kind of Matt Collins Jones goes and look at all of these things and he goes, well, there's been a lot of XrmToolBox tools created already. I'm sure the devs got it figured out. I'm not a dev. I'm going to see if I can do this. And he can with an easy prompt and some fiddling. And he thinks maybe, I don't know, I haven't talked to Matt, but the reasoning might be, this is very easy for me to do. It didn't take me as long as it wasn't as hard as I expected. I'm sure anyone else can do it as well. But just the fact that he put that into words and he put it into a blog post and shared it to the world, it creates so many good ripple effects. He posts it online and he shows people like me, I'm not a dev. I could do this. Maybe you can too. So he kind of opens the box and he lowers the threshold for anyone who thought that this can't be done. It's out of my reach. It prompts me to think, maybe actually I could do something like that. That's one. And then he puts it into words and he keeps feeding the AI with these things. And I love to see that. So I think this is my very long-winded way of saying, keep producing content, people. Not just because we do this podcast and I love sharing it, but feed the beast and feed it with your voice and your way of thinking and your reasoning and your context and your experience. Keep feeding it because we all benefit. And if we stop, then we all lose.
Yes.
Kumbaya.
Rant check.
Check. That was me. You're up.
Yeah. Well, no, but it's interesting because, talk about a bit of a shameless self-promotion. I didn't put this link in our show notes, but I'll talk about it anyway. So over the Christmas break, I created a video and a blog post, and I spent probably the most work I've ever done in building content for just one video and one blog. And it was basically taking creating a PowerPages single page application or bring your own code to PowerPages. And I learned a ton of things because if you had asked me a year ago to write a React website, I wouldn't even know where to start. But this one I went through step by step, same thing, very kind of similar journey as Matt did. I thought I'm going to build that same sample site that I've built 100 times, giving the PowerPages talks using, the standard way or whatever, the regular way. But then I did it through kind of GitHub Copilot and then went step by step and thinking, what do people want to know? First off, how it works, how to upload it in PowerPages, what's the benefit? So I basically created a site. And then first off, just created a very simple React site. And funny, looking at some of these other videos and things about getting started with code apps or PCF controls, everybody realized, hey, we're all starting from the same thing. We're all loading Node.js, the package manager. We're all creating TypeScript. It's creating the same structure. And then we all branch off to our different areas, whether we're creating PowerPages or a PCF control or a code app. And then what I also found, so then I talked about how to connect it to Dataverse because obviously in PowerPages, that's the benefit. And then the authentication. Now that was the interesting one. I had to reiterate a few times to get the authentication going. And then basically got all that wired up. Of course, the web roles, the table permissions, the whole little bit. Couple things I learned through this. First off, make sure your recording works in Camtasia because you could talk for 20 minutes without the record button being hit. That's frustrating, to say the least.
And that's why your friends hit that button for you sometimes. But okay, you let me know next time and I'll go in and hit it for you. It's fine.
Perfect. But then also, of course, by doing it multiple times, this was the interesting part. And I was actually talking to Benedict Bergman about this as well. I rebuilt, basically, once I had it all generated, and again, took a few iterations, generated one for the blog post, created to the process to create it for the video, of course, having to backtrack a little bit. But then I also, at each step of the way, I actually told GitHub Copilot, create me a prompt that I should have used at the very beginning to create this bit of code. And I actually put that prompt itself in a markdown file in the GitHub repository I put with this. But wanting to see it work, I actually used those prompts again when I kind of did one of my many takes of the video recording. But each time, if I put maybe 3 of these sites side by side, they're the same, but different, subtly different. It's the same way if I actually gave 3 different developers, okay, this is my spec, go build the site. And it all came back differently. And I'm sure if someone took the prompts that I created, they're going to get slightly different results again than what I got. So this is sort of the other thing that we're kind of the world we're living in. It's great that we can prompt our way things, but also understanding what's going on in the background. Especially in the authentication part, I looked at the code and like, why isn't this working? And I actually had to go in a big, long chat with GitHub Copilot. Okay, this is why it's not working. And it was like thinking, maybe try this, maybe try this. It was very weird. It was almost like working with somebody. And then finally said, well, you could try this, but this seems to be an older way of doing things. And that part worked. And surprise. So then I actually made sure that idea was incorporated in my prompt. It was like the login URL or something, or the log out URL. Make sure it's using this URL for the log out based on blah, blah, blah. And then from there, created these prompts. It was also interesting. This is the very first, maybe not the first blog post, but it was a blog post where, you know me, I always like to paste code snippets. I pasted prompts.
Yeah.
And I remember last year with Victor Dantest, he did a presentation, and it was like, there's always, can you share your deck? Can you share the code? It was like, can you share your prompts?
Yeah.
That's sort of the way this is going. So overall, this is, again, I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole here, but seeing people like Matt, there's another post or another video we'll talk about building PCF controls. All of a sudden now, and like with Allan's thing as well, these tools are allowing us to get over the hump, and we're gonna. And for me, natural language is the pure version of low code. So we're using natural language, but I also think it's important to have some of those technical skills to know what's going on, but also to do it, like you said, creating content. Going through, I learned a ton. I learned a ton about how React works. I learned a ton of how authentication works. I learned much more about the Dataverse web API and how it interacts. So this is the great thing I love about this vibe engineering as well. And people like Matt and Allan that are building things, and Ben for that matter as well. We're upping our skills by doing it. And by upping our skills, that just is going to turn into better code and being able to do more things, because I think yes, AI is doing a lot, but there's still no shortage of ideas and things we want to build. And now this is enabling a lot more people to be able to build stuff. So yeah, that was, sorry, it was my little segue. It wasn't a rant. It was more of a, this is what Nick learned this is what I did during my vacation.
No, that's great. Yeah, I absolutely love it. And I think, we're going to put some links in the show notes as well, if you feel comfortable sharing it at this point, to the things you built, because this is so important. And I love the fact you say, it seems like we were all starting from the same place, and then we kind of and then we learned so much kind of on our way. But I think this is essential. I've started in a new project now, a Power Pages project, where actually it's very little Power Pages, more React. And of course, I'm out of my depth. But I see the way that this guy is working with AI, and kind of him and AI have this little project, and they're having so much fun. It's actually really hard to get into it because they're just moving so fast, and it's all and they got it everything in his fingertips. And I'm like, hey, what do you do? Hey. And I go in my Copilot, I go, get up to speed, find out what they're doing, read all the docs. What happened since last Friday?
Yes.
To try to keep up, because I'm 50% in a project, meaning every other day. So every other day when I connect to it, it's like, oh, he refactored everything. Oh, freaking no. And then kind of, So it is very interesting keeping up with this as well, I find, because my mind is still the same. It's the work at the same speed. It still works in the same way. And some things I take longer with, and some things I have to learn, and some things I'm good at, something I'm not as good at. So that's kind of been on my mind lately. How do I keep up with someone who's kind of in it and it's very quick, and I'm not keeping up? So that was that came to mind. But freaking fantastic. I can't wait to see what you Okay, let's move on. Trying to find a good segue here. Yeah. So can I just share something that is a bit, that inspired me this week?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I saw a post from the CRM ninja, EY, that we all know and love. He has now been on a tour through the new AI certifications from Microsoft. So he shared a blog post about the AI transformation leader and how so his blog post is kind of a bit of an overview of the certification, what it's for, who it's for, and then also what it entails in terms of what you need to go through to pass it and the mindset behind it. He goes through what he went through to learn about it. And then he also lists the other one that he's gone through. This is AB 731, which is the AI transformation leader, but there's AB 900 and AB 100, agentic AI business solutions architect and business professional. And there's a lot of new AI certifications, which really got me excited because then this is a way for us we're consultants and architects, but I think it's also very valuable to lift your eyes a little bit, lift your gate, take a step back, kind of go into the persona of a leader, a business leader, and how you should think about AI and transforming your business and how to work with it, because it will influence and give you some context into your own work and how to think about how to align and talk to stakeholders and that kind of thing. So it reminded me that exams and certifications exist because I haven't done one in a while. So it's kind of a slap in the face and also a bit inspiring. So thank you, EY, for that. And yeah, so I just wanted to share that.
Perfect. Yeah. I just got all the PowerPlatform ones renewed over last couple of months. And now here's a whole set of new ones. But yeah, I agree. These certifications kind of force you to put eyeballs on new content and new ways and give your exposure. So when we're having those conversations with clients going, wait a minute, this reminds me, oh yeah, I saw this while studying for an exam and this could apply here. Again, best way to learn, fingers on keyboard, but sometimes you got to know something to start, I guess.
Yeah. And also it's a bit crazy if you kind of look at it from another perspective. It's a bit crazy they create exams and certifications about this stuff because it changes so quickly. But also the thought leadership around it doesn't really change that much. So if you want to go in and be certified in some type of technology now, I think that's out of date much sooner than this. This is more business context. This is more your role as an architect. This is what you need to know about kind of the workings around AI and how to think about it, which will apply to, even though they upgrade to GPT-6, it will still apply. So I think this is something that's why I got excited about it, because the thought leadership around it will kind of have a longer lifespan, so to speak.
Yeah. And also a good career thing to have in your career, good career feather in your cap, something.
Yeah. So if you need that, then have at it. Definitely. So next on the list is code apps. So we talked about generative pages, and now we have a blog post about code apps.
Yeah. So this was Charles Sexton and Josh Giles. Josh, sorry if I mispronounced your name, or this is what we do on the podcast. We mispronounce names. Charles and Josh.
You're still part of the bunch. Yes.
So I think this is part of a series of videos they're doing. And this is great. It's just Charles and Josh just talking, but going through code, kind of going through the process from me just nammering on about creating a Power Pages single page application to almost to myself. This is Josh and Charles. They're talking through the process of creating a code app. And at this point, they're really just getting the fundamentals. And this is where I said we're all starting from the same thing, because they open up Visual Studio Code. Yep. Load Node.js. Yep. So far, we're all on the same path. And then they start a React project. Yep. So far, so good. And then they veer off. Okay, here's how we load it up as a code app. Okay, here's where the fork in the road branches from code apps versus Power Pages single page applications or PCF components, as we'll talk about in a few minutes. But it's just very interesting because oh, wow, we're all kind of starting from the same spot here. And this is where I think it's important to kind of understand a little bit about, you don't have to be like a React expert or a TypeScript expert, but kind of understand that this is the code that's being generated. And you can read through it and then being able to have those intelligent conversations with your pro devs to bring them in to do the heavy lifting, that last 20% mile. So it's the same story we've always been doing, but now the low code tools are changing a little bit. And we're actually coming to our developers with, here is actual code versus here is a black box that you'll have to integrate with, kind of thing. So they do a very clear, very great step-by-step video. And I'm really looking forward to their next one as they continue on this journey. So if you haven't seen that, definitely check out that video if you're just getting started in this stuff. And again, it really shows about these barriers being lowered for folks that have been working in the low code space for a long time, that these things are somewhat accessible. don't get scared with Visual Studio Code. It's actually, it's a big user interface with a lot of code. Once you get into it, I don't know, I find it a lot of fun. But again, that's just me.
Yeah, no, I think that goes for a lot of us. And it's, like I said, it seems scary and overwhelming, but if you give it a go, I think a lot of people would be surprised to actually how accessible it is. So yeah, definitely with you on that one. Great job. Then let's talk about something else. Let's talk about language and adaptive cards. I came across blog post by Adi Leibowitz, which talks about the adaptive cards that you can now. Adaptive cards have been around for a very long time. It used to be about getting something in an email and you could show up in a different way, or you get an approval flow or something through a flow, and you could create a card and a visualization around it. Now the use case is more with co-pilots and agents, where you can customize the UI. You have this little card, and you can choose if you want an image, a link, some text, some buttons, some call to actions, stuff like that. Now, up until this point, there was an announcement, I think a couple of weeks ago, that now language support in Copilot Studio agents have been improved, which is a new and good feature. So that's also worth mentioning. So multilingual agents is now a lot easier than it used to be. But still, adaptive cards, you would actually have to develop and configure each card for each language. So if you, like you and me have the same thing, right? You live in Canada, you need to have everything in Canadian and in Canadian French Canadian.
Yeah.
In Norway, we also always do Norwegian and English, sometimes also Swedish. It depends. So that's a lot of work to maintain. But now they've found a solution where you can actually use one card and you have this almost JSON setup where you can configure the different labels in different languages. So you have one card and then you have one translation file that includes all the labels in the different languages. And then you kind of just reference that label in the card. Does that sound familiar to you?
That sounds very familiar, yes.
I wonder, have I seen this before? And like, this is code. This is content snippets in Power Pages. This is what we've done for ages. So, it's just okay then. And this is, so of course he's using Klingon from, no, not Klingon. It's not Klingon. That's,
that's Star Trek. Star Wars. No. Oh, get your nerd right.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm such a bad nerd. Minus points for me. Never mind. What's the language in Lord of the Rings? Come on. I need to find it. He said it's here somewhere. Because he actually translated it into that.
Into Elvish, maybe?
Yeah, let's go with Elvish. Probably not that.
Well, it was a type, translate the card. He translates to Italian, but Strider is called Compass. Oh, it's just some of the names. Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, static adaptive cards now appear in localized files. No complex card management workflow needed, and mixed content is localizable and using set text variable. So that is the big takeaway. So thank you for that great blog post.
Yeah, and I think he's also from the CAT team, I believe.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I love that you get your people right, because I just confused.
We'll fact check that, but I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Sounds good. Do you want to talk about PowerAddicts PCF component next?
Yeah. So again, this is kind of on the journey of, like I said, the creating of, Visual Studio Code, getting Node.js installed. And then here's the third fork in the road that we saw. And this is a video. It was actually hosted as part of Hudang's Power Academy.
Power Academy.
And he posted this, and he even said during this recording, he said, I'm going to post this on YouTube because it's so good. And the person that's running the presentation is Nuno Subtil. And I think I've met Nuno somewhere in the back of my head. But anyways, he goes through and goes very step by step, a great presentation, explains what PCF components are, but goes through and builds a very simple one. And I know you and I have been talking for a year that we're going to build PCF components. So I looked at this, I'm like, oh, and again, this isn't as hard as I always maybe envisioned it to be. I remember seeing demonstrations years ago. I think Jason Latimer did one of the very first demos I seen on building PCF components, going, okay, I need to sit down and do this. This was 6 or 7 years ago, and here we are. Just need these refreshers every so often, but it goes through step by step, explains it. He builds a very simple PCF component where you actually type in some text and it will actually update the colors of that text within the model-driven app based on what he did. And it's very easy to follow. And it's just one of those videos that it just sort of like, yeah, you could sit down and it's just so well done. So Nuno, thanks for being able to share that. And of course, Hudang for posting that on the YouTube for everybody to see. So if you do need to build PCF components or want to learn, I highly recommend that's a great place to start and get you going on building PCF components. And again, it's all part of this. I think it's very clear. This is again, part of that journey of, I've never built an XrmToolBox tool before, but I can do it now. Never built a code app before. Never built a single page application before. These things are becoming more and more accessible with these tools that are coming out, which I think it's just going to be a good thing overall.
Yep, I completely agree. And as like I said, when you see the same thing over and over and you kind of lower that threshold, it doesn't seem so scary anymore. And it is the entry to everything. So maybe we'll finally get around to it.
Maybe.
Or maybe we don't have to anymore. Maybe it's not the thing we thought it would be. Next on the list is also something kind of blast from the past. If adaptive cards isn't old enough tech for you, then AI Builder should be, because AI Builder is probably the oldest AI capability in the box. I played with AI Builder 10 years ago or more. And it's quietly and kind of a little bit subtly under the radar evolved and grown into this great tool in the toolbox, which is overlooked so often. And now Malin Martnes has done a blog post series about the kind of the elementary things of the Power Platform and and then she's asked Copilot, explain it to me in the simplest term you can. Explain it to me like I'm a 10-year-old. Explain this to me like I need to use it and it's my first day on the job. And then she's also reaching out to community members. I think we mentioned some of her blog posts in the past.
Yep.
To kind of get a feel of, okay, what does it do? What is it for? Give me a use case, kind of give me the rundown. And in this blog post as well, there is a no-code AI cheat sheet by AI Builder to kind of map out what you can do with it. So AI Builder is great for processing documents, to process text and do some sentiment analysis on it. It can generate AI text and summarize, create drafts. It's very good with text and understanding sentiments and also analyzing images. So when I used it like 10 years ago, we used it to Chihuahua or cookie to determine if it's dog or cookie. We fed it images of Chihuahua
hot
faces,
dog, not hot dog.
Exactly. So dog or not dog, or cookie or not cookie.
Yep.
We also used it to detect graffiti out in the city. So we would take images of graffiti around Oslo and then we would put it into this folder and map it and tell it to have something to reason over or to learn from. And we would tag it with different graffiti groups. And then we launched that to the public, and public could take images, upload it to this AI tool, and the AI tool would map to the location that it was, and then also tell you which group it would be. And so you actually could get this grid of, we didn't fulfill the project, it was a POC, but you could get this grid then of where did the different groups operate, at what time does new graffiti images come up or new graffiti comes up, and there's a whole lot of things around it for the city of Oslo to kind of have a little bit of an overview. But this has grown a lot since then, and it's a great tool. And thank you, Malin, for bringing our attention to some of these little bit under the radar, forgotten gems in the platform, for sure.
Yep. The blog, the series is called "What is this tech and what is it used for?" So if you're new to the Power Platform, this is a great place to start, because I think sometimes the fundamentals get lost in the Copilot mix. And even though this is AI, I think it had some of the licensing issues was probably kind of what hindered it a little bit at first. But it's funny, she even links to a few different blog posts and resources as well. Great post, Malin. Keep up the good work. Looking forward to more.
And then speaking about licensing.
Yeah, this was kind of a big one. It's generating a bit of chatter. So basically, the Power Apps per app license is being pulled from new users. So if you're a brand new project and you hope to use the Power Apps per app license, you have another 2 weeks where you can still buy this brand new. But then after that, for new customers, it's going away. The difference between the Power Apps per app license and the one that I think most people should be using, in my humble opinion, the Power Apps premium license is the per app allows your user to access one specific Power App. Used to be two, but then what they did is they halved the price and then limited it to one per app. So if you're in a corporation or an organization, you build one Power App and your users have the per app license, then they can access that app, but they can't access anything else, any other Power Apps. So, I mean, it's great for an entry level. It's great if you have that one use case, but then for, I think not double, but so I think it's like $5 US retail. Translate that into whatever your local currency is, where a Power Apps premium license retail is $20. So 4 times the amount, but with a Power Apps premium, you can have unlimited number of Power Apps. Your users can access multiple apps, integrated apps, the Outlook connector, all of these things, including even accessing a Power Pages site for if it's an internal site kind of thing. So it's going away. And then they're basically, if you want to go in I don't even call it a low cost option, but it's pay as you go, meaning you would just pay for the licensing that you're using, or you update to the Power Apps premium licensing. So I think a lot of people kind of got their hair on end a little bit thinking it's going away. It's not, from my understanding, from what I've read, it's not going away for existing customers. Existing customers, if they already have per apps licensing, they'll be able to continue to renew those. They'll be able to continue to reuse them. I understand they'll be able to even increase the numbers for a time being anyway. But if you're a brand new customer, you won't be able to get it. It is definitely, this is the evolving landscape of the Power Platform and licensing, as it always is. There's not a lot of communication out of Microsoft beyond it changing the licensing guide, because it's not changing existing customers. That's kind of why they're holding back on any kind of big announcements. Understandably, they don't want to cause a panic, but I think sometimes not having enough information causes some panic or uncertainty. But that is also the Microsoft licensing in general. There's always uncertainty of what's really going on sometimes. You're trying to always figure out what licensing you need or what you're entitled to and that kind of thing. So yeah, that was sort of some news that kind of quietly came out more through the community than from an announcement from Microsoft, because of the most up-to-date licensing guide that just got released like a few weeks ago, as it does every month, I believe.
Well, we've seen this trend for a long time, because this hasn't been, so when you've gone to powerapps.com and kind of the marketing page for Power Apps, the Power Apps per app license hasn't been showcased at all for a while. So, and also when the premium was announced, this was kind of a big deal. Then we thought it was going to go away, and created a huge storm around that, which is a while back now. And it's like you said, the answer to this is that, yeah, you can get them through pay as you go still. So if you just give them access to that one app and they have pay as you go, you only pay for what you use, being kind of the way to mitigate this. But also it's the communication around it that I think rubs people the wrong way the most. Yeah. It happened very quickly and under the radar, and it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't announced. And I think that's what people are reacting to more than anything, which is understandable.
Cool.
All right. Very, very good. I just wanted to touch quickly on something. You know, the Copilot Studio Academy that we are going to do a workshop on?
Yes.
Yes. So this is just for our listeners. Don't tell anyone else, but this is publicly online, but it's not being announced. So I can't really kind of say anything kind of big, but so I was on a partner call just this week, and then Scott Durow presented a topic around code interpreter. And then he said, this is the preview of content that's going to be in the new Commander version of the Academy. So it's kind of a preview thing, and you can get access to it if you want, but it's kind of under the radar. So I think they share the link. So if you want to get access to that and you're kind of waiting for the Commander thing and you can't wait and you want to get some insights, then go to the Tech Talks recording. They have all the recordings up online, and look through it and see what you can find. And then you can actually get a little sneak peek. So it's,
Cool.
we'll put a link to the recordings page on the show notes, and then you can find your way from there yourself. How's that?
Right.
So,
and if you haven't started yet and you're looking to,
yeah,
I mean, with the Agent Academy and you need to book some time, I highly recommend booking it for April at Color Cloud, where you and I are going to walk through and do this as a workshop. So
we're going to do the recruiter part as a workshop, full day, you and me diving in. Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. And I also wanted to, before we go, shout out to Sharon Smith and Sandra Keel. Last time we talked about, or I had another rant about, it happens every so often, about presentation formats where I want to see, and now I know call for speakers for EPPC is almost up. Get your beeping sessions in, people. I am on the content team and I've set aside like my life for the next 2 weeks to go through the bazillion submissions that we get. And I want to see creativity and people thinking outside the box. And Sharon did a huge post where she quotes me. So she's been into the transcripts and she pulled all the things I said literally from this podcast last time. Put it into a LinkedIn post, which I freak out a little bit about, I must admit. I just don't know why. I just don't think about this being transcribed and put on the internet forever. And it freaks me out a little bit, but okay. But also she put then a huge blog post and then and we had a huge conversation about it there. So I love that. So thank you, Sharon, for picking up something we said and posting something else and then kind of dragging us into the conversation. Absolutely love it. And also shout out to Sandra, which I was introduced to this week. She's a big Minecraft nerd. So now I can segue to your shirt. Why do you wear that Minecraft shirt, Nick?
Why am I wearing that Minecraft shirt? So next week I will be traveling and participating on a team for the Arctic Cloud Developer Challenge, which of course the theme is Minecraft, which I think if I remember correctly, we were having drinks and with the whole, somehow I invited myself to a dinner for the organizing team last spring. You guys were all thinking, oh, what are we going to do? And like, I don't know, was it me or you that said, what about Minecraft? And then it kind of exploded, or we were trying to find better ideas in My Little Pony and Minecraft was one of them.
Yeah, I think I can blame you for this one because I had them convinced about My Little Pony and then you came in with that idea. And then when you said it, I was like, that is the best idea ever because the Minecraft movie just came out and everyone's kind of raving on about it. It has kind of a new life. So you get these waves of things and Minecraft's very much, can I go get something? Just hold on. Just hold on. Okay. So now you can tell the people a joke while I'm getting something.
I don't have my dad joke book here. We have the ability to edit as well.
I know, but I can find this one. Okay, are you ready?
Of course I'm ready. Yep. Oh, that is so cool. That is so awesome.
So this little guy is going to Oslo next week to be part of ATP. Me and my kids made it.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Okay, so if anyone wonders what I'm doing when I'm not working and not recording this podcast, I'm making Minecraft animals out of cardboard boxes and painting them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would just say that's really cool. I spent my weekend actually I didn't spend the whole weekend. I spent a few hours and got a Minecraft server up and running on Azure and looking at the various APIs and MCP servers and all of these other things. And I got my in-house resident Minecraft expert to log in and check it out, get the thumbs up in terms of performance and everything, because I am doing my MSDN subscription on my Azure, kind of keeping an eye on the credits. I think it cost me 15 cents an hour or something to run this Minecraft server. But yeah. And then met with the team on Friday and pretty awesome, pretty good group of guys. So I think, we got some ideas and some creativity flowing. So looking forward to that. So by the next episode will be the Monday after. So might be in a little rough shape, but we'll be able to report on the results of all of that.
Or maybe actually we postpone it and we do a little recording at ACDC. How about that? That would be a lot of fun though.
Well, yeah, we could do that too, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we could. And also, I just wanted to say, because of course, we had a participation meeting this week. So to kind of get everyone involved and to give all the information, bring your bubble books and et cetera, et cetera. And also then Joe Griffin's on the call and he's like, Will there be any? I expect there will be some Minecraft stuff going on. And I'm like, yeah, there might be. And then actually we announced at that meeting that we have created, or rather Scott Durow has created, the management system where you claim your points for the whole hackathon inside Minecraft. I need a break. Inside Minecraft. So actually every team needs to have at least one person in Minecraft to have a dedicated server. They've gone bananas. I think he has all his kids have made these. There's a church, there's a village, there's a thing. And then one of the other judges, Frederick, turns out he loves Minecraft. So he spent the last 2 weeks in there building a whole village. It's absolutely insane. And I'm like, and then we talk about this with people, and people keep popping up in our community going, oh, I'm a Minecraft dev. I develop things all the time. I build a computer in Minecraft. I build a CPU. It's like, what?
Yep.
I did not know that Minecraft could do that. I don't know. Why don't we all just live in Minecraft? I'm like that at this point. I'm like, if I could, I would quit my job and I would just play Minecraft for a living. I absolutely love it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's me.
Cool.
Still working on survival. But I'm getting there.
Awesome. No, it's cool. It's great. And so far, like even getting this server, like I had to brush off my Linux skills and everything, and just to get this up and running. And again, Copilot helping me out along the way, kind of breaking those barriers down and learning a ton. So looking forward to next week to dive into that and seeing a lot of friends and seeing what crazy stuff we come up with.
Yeah. And then also piggybacking a little bit on the thing we talked about last time, does it enhance our creativity or does it reduce our creativity? And I think actually just us talking about this now enhances the fact that it does boost our creativity when we can play with all these things, and it kind of lowers the barrier for entry, and it kind of lowers the threshold for everything. It makes it not so scary anymore. And I'm like you, because I'm buzzing. So can't wait.
Awesome.
I'm so excited to see you. You're going to come here and it's going to be so much fun.
Yep. Cool.
All right. Until next time, people, peace out and have fun with your Klingon and your Minecraft, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, please make sure you share it with your friends and colleagues in the community. And be sure to leave a rating or a review on your favorite streaming service. That makes it easier for others to find us. Follow us on social platforms and make sure you don't miss a single episode. Thank you for listening to the PowerPlatform Boost podcast with your host, Ulrikke and Nick Dolman. See you next time for your timely boost of PowerPlatform news and updates.